This is what they don't tell you about surplus funds. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Spencer Van. I'm very excited because, I'm known as the surplus fund guy. In fact, I'm wearing my surplus fund jacket. I'm wearing a bullish hat. As you know, I'm very bullish on surplus funds, okay? Now, I want to talk today about some of the things that, these gurus and these people don't talk about when they talk about surplus funds. And maybe I'm guilty of this at some level, maybe I'm not. But, there's other people now talking about surplus funds. Most of them, I'll be frank with you, I taught how to do surplus funds. And in order to sell their, $50, PDF booklet, they want to, change some facts around that I wanted to address here today. But before I get into that, make sure you hit the like button down below, and of course subscribe, hit the notification bell, because once per month we do a free mini course giveaway. So instead of paying $50 or $100 for some crappy course that's really just a book, you can just get my mini course, which is going to be better anyways, and you can get it for free potentially. So that being said, make sure you get notified when we go live so you can have the opportunity to win that. And let's jump into today's topic. So one of the big things I see nowadays in the surplus fund game is people think that this is like the easiest thing to do in the world. And I'll be frank with you, giving people money they didn't know they had, it is pretty damn easy, okay? But what people underestimate is the difficulty of scaling a business. So for example, is it pretty easy, in my opinion, to go out and get to 10, 20K a month? Honestly, yeah. I mean, if you have a reasonable skill set and you have a coach that knows what they're doing, teaching you, it's pretty straightforward. Now, if you try to figure out everything on your own, you've never ran a business before, you don't know what you're doing, maybe a little bit more challenging, but out of all the things you could do to make money is pretty straightforward, okay? But where it becomes difficult is like, okay, well, you're at 15, 20K a month. Now I want to grow to 100K a month. I've talked to people before and they're like, Spencer, I want to join your program, but before I can join your program, I want you to guarantee me something. I said, well, what's that? They said, well, I want you to guarantee me that I can make $1.5 million in 90 days. I'm not kidding you. I had someone say that to me directly. I'm like, I don't even know anybody that's doing those types of numbers that's been in the business for 5+ years. So I can't guarantee you're going to make $1.5 million in 90 days. Okay, with surplus funds. But I can guarantee that you'll be a lot closer if you take action on this than you are now, okay? And, they ended up joining and everything's great. But my point is to you is there's something wrong with having high aspirations and high goals. But what, Tony Robbins says is people often overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year, in a couple years, or a decade. So don't be the person that's like, oh, I'm going to get to $1 million tomorrow. Be the person that's like, I'm going to get to $20,000 a month as soon as possible, and then I'm going to start working on my business skills and scaling my business so I can get to that million within a year or 2 years. Because the reality is, 2 years from now, you're not going to be like, oh, I could have had this $1 million a year ago. You're going to be like, dude, I'm thankful I'm making $1 million a year. That's what you're going to be thinking, okay? I know, because I was that person, right? So that's number one, is scaling is a lot harder than people think. And that's why we've had so much success with Scale Mastery, because, there's no one else really teaching that. They don't know what they're doing. A lot of these guys, these gurus, have made $10,000 a month in surplus funds. No offense, that's not really impressive. I mean, I have students that come in their first month and make 100. Now, the second biggest thing that I've seen with people that they're just kind of lying to you and not being frank with you is they're not being honest about, the length of time in which it takes to receive a check. Now, it depends on the niche and it depends on the state. It can range very wildly. So for example, in some states, you may wait 6 months consistently to get a check. Now, I'm gonna be frank with you. I don't really recommend those states. I'm talking about state funds right now. I don't really recommend those states, okay? There's some states where you can get a check next week, 2 weeks from now, right? That's a big difference. 21 days from now, that's a big difference. So, people on here are saying, oh, it's every single time 4 to 8 weeks, 40 weeks. No, that's not true, okay? On average, I'd say it's 4 to 8 weeks if you're doing it correctly. But there are states where if you do it in, it's gonna take longer than 4 to 8 weeks. Another example is like tax overages or tax funds, right? Well, those take a long time depending on how far you are into the redemption period and how willing the county is to work with you. I mean, we just had a student recently that, really smart guy, younger guy, I'm not gonna say his name, but early 20s, and gets a deal, submits it to the county, and they're not even messaging him back. They're just kind of putting him, like down there, like, oh, we're not even gonna talk to you yet, okay? Now, it doesn't mean they're not gonna send him a check eventually, because what happens is they just get to it at some point, they'll just send you a check. But still, it's kind of county by county, okay? So just understand that, you're building a business. It's funny, I saw a comment that said, no one's failing at surplus funds. People just don't want to wait to get paid, and it made me laugh, because if you look at any extremely successful person. Now I got Drake behind me. You know, Drake is obviously a music artist, but even, you know, entrepreneurs, basketball players, I mean, any extremely successful person, they are known, successful people are known for thinking long term. I mean, you look at, again, Jeff Bezos, I always love to use his example. He talks about how important it is to think long term. He talks about, you know, the fact that, hey, Amazon wouldn't work at the level it is now in 1996. Not enough people had computers, not enough people had internet. But now the guy's worth $200 billion. Why? Because instead of thinking about today, he thought about tomorrow. Right? So I challenge you guys, hey, this isn't about getting paid and making, you know, $10,000 a month like that. It's about building a business where instead of making $10,000 a month, you can make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month in 6 months, but then you can also build a business that makes $100,000 a month in a year or 2 years or 3 years from now. Does that make sense? Hopefully that does. So with that being said, those are kind of some of the big things I see people talk about that are other gurus that, you know, again, a lot of them were former students of mine, and honestly, it's a little bit embarrassing because, you know, I see a lot of these guys, they're successful students of mine, and I'm proud of them for that, and I'm happy that they're spreading the word of surplus funds. And I don't hate on anybody out there that wants to share surplus funds, okay? The only part that frustrates me is when they don't give me credit for a lot of things that we've taught them, because honestly, like 80% of these guys wouldn't exist if it wasn't for us. And it's not an egotistical thing. It's the fact that they bought my course, went through it, had success, and now they want to teach their own course. But that's fine. It's okay as long as they're doing it in an ethical way and truly telling you what you need to hear. So with that being said, if you did enjoy this video, click the like button down below, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video.